Hello and welcome. I'm going to talk today a little bit about cooperation and collaboration with our kiddos in regards to cleaning in this specific situation. I'm going to read a post from GPU from an anonymous member. Um, so the post goes, I need help with getting chores done. I have a 13-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. I'm a single mom and I do a majority of the household cleaning. I want help. I also want to teach them about responsibilities and working together as a family. I don't know how to get started and stay consistent with having something established for all of us. I have a dry erase chore chart, but I don't really use it. How can I make it fun and stay consistent? Thanks. All right. Well, I want to thank you, anonymous member, for this really important question. So, I find the topic of cleaning fairly nuanced because, well, for a few reasons. One of those reasons would be that, um, you know, as a parent, and particularly as a solo parent doing it all on our own, which I can completely relate to, we're exhausted. We're really, really tired. Like, we're tired all of the time. We've been tired since that moment we became a parent. um, and we really are, like, we have a ton on our plates. Another reason why it's nuanced is because I do think that learning how to work together as a family, collaborate as a family, and show up for each other in ways that are supportive of each other within a family unit, and learning how to navigate life with some of the responsibilities that life includes is pretty important. And then there's this like big old huge bag of stuff that we need to evaluate, starting with um, our own relationship with cleaning. Most likely comes from a less than healthy paradigm. Um, when we think about where we come from as a society, as a culture, it kind of gives us a roadmap from as to like where we've been and can give us possible directions to take in the future. So I like to start there. On a lot of topics, I like to start there. Um, you know, there was a time a couple hundred years ago, not even that long ago, but there was a time when people were having children because they needed help with labor. Um, you know, over the generations, we have learned that not only wasn't that developmentally appropriate, it was probably pretty damaging, to put it lightly, right? And here's the problem is that a lot of those mindsets don't change, or they change. I don't want to say they don't change because they do change. Is the thing is that they change really slowly, like outdated mindsets. They kind of morph and they progress, and they still, in some ways, hang back in this older paradigm. So, more recently, within our lifetimes, um, we've experienced some of the ways that it's progressed and morphed, and some of the ways that our parents projected these ideas of children kind of being required to help us, and also um, it being pretty much their place to do a lot of labor. So I'm 48. When I was younger, 10, 11, 12, it was fully appropriate for myself and my older sister to, like, considered socially fully appropriate for myself and my sister to take on all of the care of of our siblings, and do all of the cleaning and the cooking, and really relieving a lot of that pressure from my mom's plate. And um, a lot of the language around it and the energy behind it was like, my mom was really alone in this giant mess and nobody would help her. And it's not that any of that was untrue. Like, she had a ton on her plate. She had 6 kids. But at the same time, the way that she had those expectations of her older kids and put a giant physical and emotional burden on us to do that cleaning and cooking and caring didn't actually help us to create any kind of a healthy relationship with it. And in fact, instead of creating like a sense of responsibility around the help around the house, it created a sense of us against her. And it also created a sense of us really like wanting to push back against that and not having, like a ton of empathy or motivation to feel cooperative with the thing. And I say that not because I think that that's what like any of you are doing. I say that because that's what we came from. And while in theories we've progressed past that, we know that our 10, 11, 12-year-old kids should not be left in charge of their younger siblings. We know that putting the full burden of all of this stuff on the kids is not a great idea, but we were raised with these ideas. So that's part of our nervous system. That's part of the way that the neurons fire in our brain when we're thinking about cleaning. And so when we think about cleaning, we often come at cleaning with an attitude like, and I want to say this sensitively because, again, this isn't to shame or blame or any of that. Like, I don't want anyone to feel bad for the ways that they were treated or the ways that they were subconsciously programmed. Um, and it's so much about like our healing and our growth. So, you know, the ways that my personal experience around this was there was a lot of martyrdom, and my mom was the victim in this circumstance, and there was all of these different ways that we were required to step up to the plate for her. Um, and again, like I'm saying, like it just didn't create a healthy relationship around showing up to do those things and learning how to do the cleaning and all of that stuff. So I like to start with trying to unpack our own, like I share my experiences around what it was like for me when my mom was trying to get us to help out around the house. And for you, it probably was quite a bit different. Maybe some of the same energies and some of the same underlying stuff. Nonetheless, probably not exactly the same. Um, but I share that so that we can do a little bit of unpacking again, so that we can look at the things and the why. And then maybe if we can shift our own sense about cleaning just a little bit, um, Maybe if we can lean into the reasons why we like a clean home, the things we enjoy about cleaning, um, maybe even just reach in and heal that like place in us that feels like there was too much burden put on us as children. And, that burden that was put on us as children has continued to roll over into adulthood. And so there could be like a lot of value in taking a look at that and seeing how it applies to your life and how you could maybe make some small adjustments to the ways that you feel about cleaning so that you feel more comfortable when you go to talk to your kids about cleaning. And the reason I say this isn't because I want to convince you that you love cleaning and you should do it all yourself. Absolutely not. The reason I say this is because if you're coming even subconsciously, if you're coming from a similar place to where the generation before us was coming from, where you're the victim in this and you just really need all of this help and all of this other stuff, then you're actually setting your kids up again with that unhealthy relationship with the cleaning itself. And if we can just make tiny shifts or even just fake it until we make it and lean into the things about cleaning that we enjoy, it can help shift the energy around the cleaning. And when we shift that energy, a lot of times the cooperation, collaboration, the things that we're looking for, they exist on the other side of connection. It's like when we're like, I need help, I need help, I need you to do this, and I need you to do that. Somebody is likely to feel micromanaged or pushed around, or like, your intentions aren't completely pure or any of this stuff. And then they have like an emotional an emotional acrobatic that they have to do to even feel like they're able to show up for you, for the cleaning, for any of that, particularly kids, because they don't have a lot of experience with relational dynamics and nuances and all of these things. So, um, I do think that for some people, as to like your specific question here, I do think that for some people, visual reminders like chore charts and things like that, they can be super duper helpful. They remind us, and especially if we're somebody who struggles with like executive functioning or like, object permanence and things that might make us quickly forgetful of tasks and things like that. Like visual reminders can be helpful. However, there's the flip side of them that if they're not consensual visual reminders, if we're making a chore chart and we're super stringent in that chore chart and we're not flexible about it and we're getting mad that the stuff on the chart hasn't been completed, um, it, it's not going to be helpful, and it's not going to be incredibly gentle either. But if it is something that's consensual and everybody agrees to, we like, talked about it beforehand and like divvied up the chores in ways that everybody felt like, it was a fair deviation and that everybody was looking at it feeling like, we'd worked something out. Something like a chore chart in itself could be a super duper helpful executive functioning tool for your family to help keep everybody on track. And depending, it could also be completely counterproductive and not helpful at all. So, knowing what our tools are as a family is like a really big piece of things. And there's a lot of physical tools that we can find that um, help us to remember to do things throughout the day, which kind of gives us a sense of responsibility and scheduling and time and all of those other things. And um, Any of those things, when used by somebody as a tool, an executive functioning tool to help them to stay on track to something that they're otherwise agreeable to, teaches really good life skills for, like I was saying, for like time management and like um looking at, how we work on teams and how we separate different tasks and chores and labors and all of these things and assign and um, all the different ways that we can navigate through like a community structure, right? So when it is communal and everybody's in agreement, like there's tons of tools out there, physical tools like a chore chart and different things like that that could be used in a gentle way. And it could also be used in a way that is completely ungentle and counterproductive. So hopefully that part of that is helpful. And then I really want to acknowledge that I know how exhausted we are as parents. We are tired. We are tired. We have so much on our plates, and we have work, and we have school, and we have kids, and we have to come home and do all the cleaning and the cooking and all of that stuff. And while encouraging our kids to help and creating different tools or different like ideas and collaborating different ways we can get the tasks done can be really helpful. Um, I do want to say that despite all of our exhaustion and our tiredness and definitely needing help and all of the other aspects of yes, we do want to encourage our kids to help and teach them the life skills associated with cleaning and teach them those life skills without adding a level of, shame, blame, guilt around the cleaning that creates that or sets them up to have a less than healthy relationship with the cleaning. Um, all that said, it really isn't our children's responsibility to be the person who helps us with our lives, that takes the pressure off of our plates. Yeah, I want to reframe that a little bit because again, this isn't about like hurting anybody. This is about helping us to see more clearly around something. So it's just not our children's responsibility to be lifting things off of our plates for us. Um, as much as that would be nice and wonderful, and as much as like encouraging collaboration is absolutely something that I advocate for, I just want to be really clear that our children are supposed to be children. And um, when we are asking for reprieve from our adult responsibilities through our children, it's getting into a little bit of a murky territory there. So, to sum everything up, I would say, first of all, the most important thing is that we check our own relationship with cleaning so that when we're talking about cleaning, we're not just projecting a bunch of hate and burden and this is horrible all over our children so that they can set up a healthy relationship with it. Um, Using executive functioning tools like chore charts, if they're consensual and everybody's on board and they're working as a good visual reminder, they can be done gently. They can also be done very ungently if they're not meeting those criterias. Um, and here's the thing is like, I know people think that if we let go of these stringent ideas about like how we get the kids to help, and we just kind of go with it a little bit more. We connect a little bit more. We don't push. We're really flexible. We try and set up a healthier relationship, and people think, well, then that leaves me doing everything. And here's the thing is like a big part of the reason why people don't want to collaborate about cleaning are because of the negative associations that they have with cleaning, and because of the disconnect in the relationship when the topic of cleaning comes up, because then we're getting into like this area of a power struggle. So if we're able to address those things and work on the relationship, work on the connection, work on our own relationship with cleaning, it actually shifts the energy around the cleaning enough that it encourages your kids to more intrinsically want to step up to the plate and be helpful in the ways that we hope and ultimately would really appreciate if our children were able to show up for us that way. So um, hopefully, you find this helpful. I really appreciate your question, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to mull this over a little bit and share some of the nuances. And hopefully, you'll be able to lean into that connection and find some really good ways to collaborate with your kiddos so that you do get the relief and rest that you feel like you need. So, again, thank you very much for your question. Have a wonderful rest of your day.